Yeah, spanking is a violation of the non-aggression principle. It is an evil attack upon a helpless and defenseless child. It is wrong. It is immoral. And listen, I'm not saying everybody who spanks is an evildoer, because you have to make the case, right? So the case is put forward usually in the Bible. People say, spare the rod and spoil the child, while forgetting, of course, that the rod refers to the rod of guidance and inspiration, not hitting a kid with a stick. The rod is like the baton of a conductor, right? It's not there to poke the violinist in the eye if he gets a note wrong. So, yeah, it is the initiation of the use of force. It is violence. It is aggression. It is bullying, because you're like, oh, big, brave guy, 5 times the size of your kid, and you're hitting him. And it is a terrible, terrible behavior, and is responsible for a great number of evils in the world, and is a violation of the non-aggression principle, and should not be pursued by anybody who wants to be a moral person. We don't, in general, allow for violence against the cognitively diminished, right? So if you have some old person with Alzheimer's and they forget where their keys are, you don't beat them. Or if they spill something, or if they're, with somebody who's got Tourette's and swears aggressively, or seemingly swears aggressively in public and so on, we don't spank them, we don't hit them. So people who are cognitively diminished, we do not use violence against them. If somebody has a significant learning disability or cognitive impairment as the result of some brain damage and so on, we don't beat them. We have some sympathy and we have some patience. And children are, of course, relative to their capacities as adults, they are cognitively diminished. And we just don't fucking hit people who are cognitively diminished. We try to inspire them. We try to lead them. You model the behavior that you want out of your children. You don't just hit them. And now, of course, then people say, oh, but what do I do if my child does something I don't like? Well, as soon as you can, as early as you can, and this is all in the book Peaceful Parenting at peacefulparenting.com, you reason with your children. You set down rules that you can all agree on, and you say, listen, you want a lot of sugar. I don't want you to have a lot of sugar. Your tongue likes sugar. Your teeth in your body don't like sugar. Like, it's bad for them. I mean, other than a little bit here and there. And so we got a problem. How do we solve it? And you get your kids' engagement into how to solve the problem. Just top-down rules. Boom, 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 like this hammer blow, or you're playing whack-a-mole with all of their free will. You sit down, you reason with children, and you have them participate in the rules that they want to follow. Because the purpose, of course, of parenting is to prepare your children for adulthood. In other words, to prepare them for a time when they can go and buy all the candy they want. All the candy they want. And so I saw this when I was in, one of the things that pulled me towards peaceful parenting was after high school, I went to work for 1.5 years up north, gold panning and prospecting. And, I lived in tents in minus 30, 35 degree weather. And it was a pretty intense experience, and pretty good. Brought me very vividly into contact with reality, and never seduced into becoming an abstract Platonist. So when I came back and I went to a university, there were a lot of people there who just came for, drinking and sex, and they overate, the famous Frosh 15, you put on 15 pounds in your first year. And it was just hedonism. And why? Because they were on their own and they got to make their own decisions, and they hadn't been raised well. And so they're just pushing back against all the limitations which they hadn't internalized. The purpose, of course, of parenting is to have your children internalize good, moral, sensible, practical values. And that doesn't really happen when you just use violence. You can't beat someone into being a good person. You can't hit someone into being a good person. And all violence is dangerous. Violence is like unpopping a genie. You don't know if it's good or bad. It can be really negative, right? You're hitting your children with a belt and they turn suddenly, and you hit them in the eye. You're hitting your children with a spoon and it might hit their testicle and cause damage to their testicle. Your child is running away from being hit, trips and falls down the stairs, or trips and hits their head against the counter. And next thing you know, you've got some kid in a vegetative state for the rest of your life. So, their lives. So it's a dangerous thing. It's absolutely unnecessary. It's counterproductive. Children who are spanked, you'll get short-term compliance, but then they just try and figure out a way around the rules. I mean, if spanking worked, why are 40% of people in junior high, kids in junior high, still being spanked? It doesn't work. Because if it worked, you wouldn't need to keep doing it. So I hope that makes some sense. Sorry for the very sort of brief, compressed version of it, but you can find more of this, of course, at peacefulparenting.com for the free book.